Oklahoma State has never been closer to a national championship shot than they are now. They were taken to the wire by Kansas State last week, but Wheaton to Blackman led the comeback, and the Cowboys survived. Now 3 games separate Oklahoma State from regular season perfection. The first comes against a Texas Tech team that has done this before. 3 weeks ago, the Red Raiders ended Oklahoma's dream of a perfect season. Can they do it again today? It's the Riverboat Gambler and Texas Tech against number 2 Oklahoma State now. Welcome to ESPN College Football, presented by Kay Jewelers. And welcome to Lubbock, Texas, number 2 ranked Oklahoma State with another road test as they take on Texas Tech. And on this Veterans Day weekend, a fighter jet flyover ignited the crowd here at Jones AT&T Stadium a moment ago. And also a moment ago, taking the field, the Red Raiders. And the Cowboys take the field here in Lubbock as well. A great atmosphere. Glad you can be a part of it with us. Bob Shoes and alongside Bob Davey, and Shelley Smith will join us in just a moment. Oklahoma State fans can taste it, Coach. It is that close. Everyone is also pointing to Bedlam, which is 3 weeks away. You have to win today first, and they have not historically had success here in Lubbock.
Yeah, Bob, Oklahoma State's 9-0. Texas Tech is 5-4. But when you look at it closely, I mean, they're almost identical, both schematically and statistically. Both of them have tremendous offenses, up-tempo. They can score on anyone. Oklahoma State averages about 50 points a game. Texas Tech 37. Both defenses, though, they've really struggled. They give up a lot of yards. They're almost identical statistically. What's different? And the reason Oklahoma State is undefeated, number 2 in the BCS, their defense leads the nation in takeaways with 31. Red zone defense, they're outstanding. Bob, both teams are going to move the ball up and down the field. In the end, this game comes down to takeaways and red zone defense.
Mike Gundy, the head coach of Oklahoma State, is with Shelley.
Coach, you have told your players to embrace this number 2 ranking. Don't ignore it. How do you think that will play out today on the field?
Well, I have a lot of confidence in our team. They've really prepared well, and they're excited about the game. They understand what the important part of what's going on right now. They just need to go out and play.
All right, Coach Tuberville says the winds are coming about lunchtime, maybe up to 40 miles an hour. How will that affect your game plan?
I don't think it'll affect these guys much. They're pretty confident in their ability to move the ball.
All right, thanks so much.
I would say that is the understatement of the year, Coach Davey. I think both teams are very confident in their ability to move the football. This game could almost come down to a game-long college football overtime. I mean, we know both teams are going to get it to the opposing team's 25-yard line. It's probably a question of what they do with it once they get there.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point, Shu. It's all about red zone defense. Holding an offense to a field goal in this game is a big, big victory for either one of these two defensive teams.
As you saw, Oklahoma State won the toss, so they'll get the ball to start the second half. And this is about as deep a kickoff as we've seen this year. That one hops the wall of the stadium as we take a look at our impact players, brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
Well, Alex Torres, the receiver, not the fastest guy. Great hands, knows how to get open. You'll see him catch a lot of the little jailbreak screens. Eric Ward, he's really good after the catch. And with this wind, expect to get the ball to him early, let him run with it. 2 really good corners for Oklahoma State. I think Broderick Brown right now playing really good football. You see there, 4 interceptions on the year.
So it's the number 11 overall offense in America that begins with the ball first. Number 6 in the country in passing. Seth Dagey has had a terrific junior season. And he goes to work on first down and is well wide of his target. Alex Torres couldn't come near that one as we take a look at the quarterback for Texas Tech, the junior from Wolford, Texas, and he has had a terrific season.
And let's face it, for Texas Tech to win, he has to have a great day. Everything revolves around him.
It'll be 3rd down and 10. Nice job by Markel Martin to jump the route and knock it down for Oklahoma State.
Yeah, this is a talented Oklahoma State secondary. Not only both corners we mentioned in the open are talented, but also Markel Martin. A lot of people think he's going to be a high NFL draft choice.
The officials blow the whistle as Texas Tech is substituting before 3rd down and 10.
Please set the game clock to 14:53.
And noticing it now. They've run 2 plays in 7 seconds, and the game clock operator couldn't keep up with the pace of the Red Raider offense. 5 wide on 3rd and 10, opening possession for Texas Tech.
Expect to see a lot of this checking at the line of scrimmage from Texas Tech today. They feel they have a pretty good bead on what Oklahoma State's going to line up with.
They run the bubble screen to Jacoby Franks, and he's up the sideline, but well short of the 1st down. So 3 downs and out on the opening possession for Texas Tech. And it'll be Brandon Whedon and Justin Blackman that will get their first chance. Josh Cooper will return the punt. Ryan Erxleben.
Josh Cooper back after a hamstring injury sustained against Baylor. Didn't play last week against Kansas State.
Slow snap, gets back to Erxleben, and he gets away an ugly kick. And Cooper fields it without a fair catch in traffic, and immediately goes down at the 41-yard line. He did well to field the punt, but that was dangerous as we take a look at our impact players for the Cowboys, brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
Well, I think it all starts with Justin Blackman, because you have to make a decision. You double him, which means it opens it up for other things. If you single him, he can beat you. Joseph Randall, I think really a guy a lot of people around this country don't realize how good he is as a running back. On defense for Tech, Terrence Bullitt, kind of their outside linebacker, strong safety. They told us yesterday, the Tech coaches, they wish they had 100 Terrence Bullets on this football team.
Full house backfield on 1st and 10 for Oklahoma State with great field position. They run it with Jeremy Smith, and he squeezes out about 4 yards. Terrence Bullitt made the stop. It'll be 2nd down and 6 for Oklahoma State. Brandon Whedon, of course, a lot made of the fact that he's 28 years old. But coach, his age and maturity might be reflected in his road record as much as anything.
Yeah, and when you sit and meet with him and visit with him, he truly is a coach. I mean, you feel like you're talking to the offensive coordinator, and that's a very stabilizing factor for this Oklahoma State team on the road.
They'll run it again on 2nd down and about 7, and Joseph Randall will move the chains into plus territory. 1st down for Oklahoma State.
I think you see early Texas Tech defense. They gave up 439 yards rushing last week in Austin to Texas. The week before, 368 yards rushing to Iowa State. Their problem, they have fallen behind in games, and these other offenses, Bob, have just kept the ball away from Texas Tech's offense by running it.
The officials just slowed play for a moment to reset the play clock. Do you think either of these offenses cares if they ever reset the play clock? Who's not going to snap the ball with at least 15 on the play clock today or thereabouts? They spread out Texas Tech and run it on 1st down with Joseph Randall. He only picks up a yard, so 2nd and 9 as we take a look at Coach Davies' focus points.
Yeah, the first one's pretty simple. I think this may be the best offense in the country right now. The way they execute for a fast tempo is remarkable. Defense, #1 in the nation in turnovers, and we talked about the red zone in the open as well. So they've got a formula to maybe play for the BCS championship, but this offense just needs to keep doing what they've been doing.
Whedon on 2nd and 9, hit just as he gets rid of it, and still throws a bullet to the sideline on time to Josh Cooper. A gain of 24 yards on the hookup, Whedon to Cooper.
And always Oklahoma State, these up-tempo teams, they like to hurry up after a big chunk of yardage because they have the defense back on their heels.
Whedon double clutches, and again underneath has a connection with Cooper. It should be 1st and goal Oklahoma State. It looks like he got to the 10-yard line, a gain of 13.
Josh Cooper, just a natural in the slot. A guy that knows how to get open. Brandon Whedon, that's his comfort zone. Looks like he should have a little bit of shoe troubles right there.
Yeah, Cooper's got a flat tire. I don't know if he can stay on the field. It looks like he's going to play with that flat tire. First and goal at the 10. It'll be Randall. And he'll move the pile to about the 8-yard line. Daniel Cobb, the first man there for Texas Tech. And Coach, here's the game. Obviously, we know the two teams are going to move it inside the 20-yard line. Can you possibly force the opposition to kick a field goal when you get here?
I think it's a very legitimate point you made, that this game is like overtime. It's kind of like putting the ball on the 25-yard line, and it all starts right there. So for Texas Tech, mentally, realize don't be down right now because they've moved the ball. Come up and force them to a field goal.
Whedon slants one. Muscling his way towards the goal line is Tracy Moore, and he stopped just short. It'll be third down and goal from just inside the 2. Hewlin Hubert and Scott Smith combined to save a touchdown.
Tracy Moore has come to life the last couple weeks. 9 catches last week against Kansas State. And if you're Texas Tech, this is where you dig in.
Top of the screen, of course, is Justin Blackman. They love to throw the fade to that back right corner to Blackman. Third down and goal. That's where Whedon will go. Looking for Blackman. They do it again. Touchdown, Oklahoma State.
Bob, not to minimize that you called that out, but everybody in the stadium knew that fade was going to Blackman, but he cuts the split down so he has a lot of room to the outside, and then Whedon just leads him with all that open space out there. Everybody knew it was coming, but stopping it is almost impossible with that kind of execution.
Justin Blackman leads the nation in red zone touchdown receptions. That is his 11th red zone touchdown catch of the season. And Oklahoma State off to the 7-0 lead. Wounded Warriors honored today here in Lubbock as part of this Veterans Day weekend. And Tommy Tuberville had the distinct honor of shaking the hand of Army Staff Sergeant Salvatore Junta, the Medal of Honor winner, the first living recipient since Vietnam. Junta received the medal for his heroic actions in a firefight in Afghanistan back in October of 2007. He was part of the honorary coin toss before the start of the game. Other wounded warriors being honored, and Coach, our chance to say thanks to all the men and women around the world and around our nation, obviously, that serve in uniform and protect us and give us a chance to watch college football and spend a day like this. Another missile of a kickoff that heads out of the back of the end zone from Quinn Sharp. Well, this is just the start of a great day of college football. Later on tonight, a big one on ESPN2 in the SEC between Tennessee and Arkansas, and a game with national championship implications in Palo Alto. Number 7 and number 4 meet, Oregon and Stanford.
Yeah, you love, and I know you do as well, just the contrast in style. You know, the NFL style power offense of Stanford with Andrew Luck and the true spread attack of Oregon. It'll be interesting to see if Stanford can slow them down, score enough points to beat Oregon tonight.
Dagey short hops a screen attempted for Bradley Marquez, and it is not an accurate start for Seth Dagey. It'll be second down and 10.
The wind swirling, Texas Tech throwing into the wind. That is not typical of Dagey. He is struggling right now, and I think the wind is a big factor.
Handed off to DeAndre Washington. Washington breaks a tackle and picks up about 4 as we take a look at Coach Davies' focus points before third down.
Well, they're behind already in the first focus point because it was start fast to me, because the last 2 weeks Texas Tech has fallen behind and people have just run the ball. Have to get touchdowns, not field goals. They've been good in the red zone, but they struggled against Texas last week early, settling for field goals. And the third thing, you can see it already, they're not going to be able to stop Oklahoma State consistently. They have to force turnovers.
And they get a third down conversion here. And they do, and plenty more. Nice hookup between Dagey and Eric Ward that moves the chains, and that just a stabilizing third down conversion for Texas Tech, a gain of 12. Texas Tech ramps up the tempo. Here's DeAndre Washington. Drags a tackler across the 41 for a gain of 5. It'll be second down and 5.
Texas Tech, you know, a key for them, and they talked yesterday, Neil Brown, our offensive coordinator, being able to run the ball some on first down.
Now they run the bubble screen to Marquez. Marquez has another Texas Tech first down. Popped out of bounds by Markel Martin, but not before he moves the chains. And Bradley Marquez, if there are any Mets fans watching us back in New York and you're worried about whether or not they're going to re-sign Jose Reyes, well, number 4 in black might be your next shortstop. He actually got a $325,000 signing bonus to play baseball with the Mets as a shortstop prospect next summer.
That means he takes all his teammates out to dinner.
He better.
Once a week, right?
Washington thrown down after a loss.
Tempo, Bob, is such a big part of these games. These two teams could potentially be the fastest tempo in the country. I don't think you'll see quite as much hurry up. Texas Tech really feels like they want to check at the line of scrimmage a lot and see what Oklahoma State's in.
Nagy well protected on 2nd and 13, and he'll check down over the middle. Marquez makes the catch, but about 9 yards shy of a first down. So another 3rd and long for Texas Tech.
You see the pattern. If Texas Tech substitutes on offense, that gives Oklahoma State enough time to substitute on defense. So you see a lot of shuffling of players right here.
7 defensive backs on the field for Oklahoma State, and they show blitz on 3rd down and 9. Nagy trying to identify the blitzers. They rush only 4. He's got some time. Buying more time. Now a flag down. Nagy on the run. That's knocked down at the line. Justin Gilbert jumped up and knocked down the Nagy pass, and most likely a holding call again against Texas Tech as Cooper Bassett got a lot of pressure on Seth Nagy.
Bill Young, a good job right there. Zone blitz. Confused Texas Tech.
Holding, number 32 offense. Penalties declined. 4th down.
Defensive coordinators in this conference, they don't get many bones. They don't get many things thrown their way. But when they get you in 3rd down, they thrive on that. There's the hold up at the top. The running back, it looked like, correct, 32?
Aaron Crawford called for the penalty. So Cooper drops back for the punt from Ertzleben. And Ertzleben with another line drive. This one Cooper will let go, and it sails into the end zone. So it will be Oklahoma State ball when we come back at their own 20-yard line, and Brandon Whedon will go back to work looking for touchdown pass number 66.
ESPN's College Football on ABC, brought to you by K Jewelers, the #1 jewelry store in America. Every kiss begins with K. At Lexus, it's time to engineer amazing.
Up close and personal with the Midnight Matador. And that's a fun job. The masked rider who brings Texas Tech out of the tunnel. Bradley Skinner, the 50th installment of the Masked Rider. There are mascots, and then there are fun jobs. That'd be a fun pregame job.
A New York, New Jersey guy, have you ever even been on a horse?
At a petting zoo. Does that count a birthday party pony ride as Joseph Randall catches the screen and gets launched out of bounds after a gain of about 5. Cody Davis out there to make the stop. We'll call it a gain of 6 on 1st down, 2nd and 4.
I think the difference with these offenses, I think Oklahoma State has some superstars. You look at Brandon Whedon, Justin Blackman. I think the running back Randall has a chance to be a superstar. Texas Tech has some really good players. I think Oklahoma State has some great players in some key positions.
But on the ground again with Randall. And he spins to about a yard shy of the 1st down. It'll be 3rd down and a couple of feet. Daniel Cobb tripped up Joseph Randall, 3rd and short.
You look at Randall, 152 yards against Baylor, 142 yards against Missouri. He can beat you. I mean, he is a talented running back. That's why it's so important for Texas Tech not to fall behind, because Oklahoma State could potentially line up and just run it on them all afternoon.
They'll try to run it on 3rd and short and get shut down. There's the stop that the Texas Tech defense needed. Again, Daniel Cobb knifed through. First on the scene, and that'll fire up Chad Glasgow, the defensive coordinator who came from TCU after his defense led the nation in total defense 3 years in a row.
And you said it, that's what it's going to take. Selling out, taking some chances on third downs and getting off the field. That time you see that Glasgow brings the linebacker blitz. Big stop.
Wobbly punt. Dropped! A special teams possible disaster for Texas Tech. And it looks like Oklahoma State has the football. Alex Torres, not normally the punt returner for Texas Tech. Austin Zuzalik is injured, not in the game today, and he simply misjudged it and dropped the ball.
Well, and again, the wind is such a factor. He completely misjudged that football, didn't get underneath it. And the #1 team in the nation in takeaways continues to follow that formula.
Teddy Johnson got the fumble recovery for Oklahoma State. And the Cowboys right back to the offensive side in plus territory. Oklahoma State has lived off the turnover this year. Whedon looking for Blackman, takes a shot at the end zone, incomplete. Blackman lost track of the football. Gene Nebo was out there, and that was man-for-man coverage on Justin Blackman. That the first incompletion of the game for Brandon Whedon.
You saw Alex Torres, Bob, you bring up a great point. He's not their normal punt returner. You factor that in, number of repetitions he's had back there in this win. There's a reason for that fumble punt.
Nice catch by Joseph Randall on the swing pass, and he's got the first down. Out of bounds at about the 18-yard line. Tracy Moore with a good block on the edge to spring Randall.
I'm not sure if people realize how difficult it is to throw that ball that accurately on that swing pass so that Randall doesn't have to break stride. Tremendous catch by Randall as well.
Another swing pass to Randall on the near side. Picks up 4.5.
And I think that's the thing. We watched a lot of tape. There's a penalty flag down here. We watched a lot of tape on Whedon, Bob. I think the most impressive thing to us was how well he throws the bubble screens and the swing screens and how quickly he gets rid of the ball.
You picked up on that immediately when we were watching the tape. And I think it's something for the fans at home that they might probably underrate.
Personal foul.
That skill.
Face mask. Number 31 defense. Penalty to be enforced half the distance to the goal. First down.
So already Texas Tech hurting themselves with a special teams turnover. Now a red zone penalty makes it 1st and goal at the 7.
Well, again, things have gone poorly for Tech, but your defense has a chance. 1st and goal on about the 7-yard line. Chance to force a field goal.
Nice open field tackle by Daniel Cobb. One-on-one with Randall at the 5-yard line, and he got him on the ground.
And really, if you can throw it as accurately and as quickly as he throws those, it's like an extended handoff. So the ball carrier gets the ball right away. He doesn't have to wait because he gets rid of it so quick, and he doesn't have to break stride. That's a running play, but they execute it so remarkably well.
Blackman, the middleman, in the trips to the near side left.
It's just straight man-to-man coverage down there.
Whedon buys some more time. Now it's schoolyard football, and Whedon will throw it away. He might have had a chance to get Tracy Moore along the back end zone line. Kerry Hyder was in pursuit. And now here's the chance we talked about, Coach. Red zone defense, 3rd down and goal from the 5.
And I think just back to that last play, Bob, you talk about schoolyard football, but a 28-year-old quarterback orchestrating it. I could see how calm he was right there, just throwing that ball away.
Blackman in the slot left. Whedon slants one, end zone, incomplete. Here comes the flag. Cooper, the intended receiver, got tangled up at the goal line, and this will be another 1st down inside the 5-yard line for Oklahoma State.
Yeah, and Cooper on a little double move. He actually gave a little hook route at the goal line, then turned it up the field. And it looked like the Texas Tech defensive back reached out and grabbed him.
Looks like it'll be against DJ Johnson.
Pass interference. Number 12 defense. Foul occurred in the end zone. Ball be placed on the 2-yard line. First down.
You're going to see Cooper at the top. Hard to see, but what happened? He did a little curl route right at the goal line. Then there was a little double move, and he got grabbed just as he turned up the field. I think it was a good call.
Randall popped at the goal line, but he's still in for the Oklahoma State touchdown.
Yeah, Oklahoma State out of their little diamond formation, really a three-back set, just powers that thing in. And if you're Texas Tech right now, coming off 2 big losses, down 14-0 so quickly, you better regroup in a hurry. You're going to get blown out of this stadium.
10 touches on that drive for Joseph Randall. So far already here in the first quarter, he has been dominant. That is his 21st total touchdown of the season. And Oklahoma State with a 2-score lead.
You see him now, not a spread team on the goal line, but a power team. Joseph Randall muscles it in.
It's a 14-0 lead for Oklahoma State over Texas Tech here in Lubbock as we continue Dr. Pepper's road to the championships. And now for our Big 12 conference update, brought to you by Dr. Pepper 10. Other games going on today in the Big 12. Keeping our eyes on Missouri as well. They are underway in their game.
And we have A&M at Kansas State. Interesting game. You look back to last week, Kansas State in a 52-45 loss in Stillwater. Quinn Sharp, this kicker, leads the country in touchbacks. He would be #1 in the country in punting if he would have punted enough times. He is truly a weapon for Oklahoma State.
That one goes right through the uprights. Quinn Sharp does it again as we take a look at our conference update brought to you by Dr. Pepper 10. Now, Texas already in a tight one with Missouri in the first quarter, and Baylor and Kansas a little bit later on this afternoon. And Kansas State still a factor in spite of the fact that they went down to the wire and lost a heartbreaker last week in Stillwater.
That's a great coaching job. We had Kansas State several weeks ago against Baylor. Really no speed on the field, but Bill Snyder finding a way schematically with the quarterback runs to keep his team competitive.
3-yard gain for DeAndre Washington as we check in with Scott Van Pelt.
Bob, good afternoon. Down in Death Valley, number 9 Clemson got an Andre Ellington touchdown, but Wake Forest gets a touchdown pass from Tanner Price to Cameron Ford to tie things up at 7s. Meanwhile, in State College, Pennsylvania, it's still scoreless. Penn State just got the ball back. Bob, back to you.
All right, Scott, thanks very much. A connection here from Daggy to Alex Torres. About a yard shy of the first down. It'll be 3rd down and 1. Roderick Brown made the stop.
Alex Torres, as good a hands as anyone in college football. He is without a doubt Texas Tech's go-to receiver.
He has to have amnesia after dropping the punt that cost them a touchdown. Now Kenny Williams lines up in the Wildcat on 3rd down, right up the middle, and he has a first down. So they go with the true freshman running back out of the Wildcat on 3rd down and a yard, and he moves the chains.
Talked about how Texas Tech's vulnerable. You know, when you give up 439 rushing to Texas, 368 to Iowa State the last 2 weeks, a lot of it depends how you lose. When somebody can line up and just ram you like that,
Speaking of which, Aaron Crawford gets rammed there after a gain of a yard by Rashedi Jones.
You know, Bob, that affects the psyche of your whole football team. It's one thing if people come out and throw it on you, but you look at these last 2 weeks, when the teams come out and just physically dominate you, that affects everybody's psyche. And that's why right now, this is key early in this game for Tech. I think just to get points right here.
2nd down and 8. Darren Moore is knocked away.
These two offenses schematically are really almost identical. I mean, the only difference, Oklahoma State lines up in some of that 3-back diamond set that they scored the touchdown on, but they're almost the exact same 2 offenses.
Now it's 3rd down and 8. After you get down by 2 touchdowns, you fumble the punt, Texas Tech has not been able to move the ball consistently yet, and they need a third down conversion here. Only a three-man rush. Dagey knocked away. Crowd looking for a flag. Justin Gilbert there in coverage, and it looked like he got there early. And boy, Tommy Tuberville and that Texas Tech sideline, they are livid.
Well, I think both these corners from Oklahoma State are probably the best two corners in this conference, Broderick Brown and Justin Gilbert. We're going to get a look at what the Texas Tech crowd is booing about.
Tough to tell from that angle. This will be a better look. That looked like pretty good defense by Justin Gilbert as we get a second look.
I'll tell you, I think Tech better watch. Their operation time on these punts has been very slow. I'd worry about a punt block.
Cooper will try and return one, and he gets swamped under immediately. Sawyer Best got downfield to make the stop on special teams for Texas Tech for a 43-yard punt. We take a look now at our BCS standings, brought to you by Discover Card. And Alabama got a lot of love from the computers after their tight overtime loss at home to LSU last week, only dropping to third. So Stanford, Boise State coach undefeated, but still behind Alabama in the poll.
And if we played today, LSU, Oklahoma State, Les Miles, who coached at Oklahoma State, what a contrast in styles that game would be.
Whedon, plenty of time, and he's on time. Finds Blackman. That's good for a first down.
Best tandem in college football right there. Justin Blackman, Brandon Whedon. When your best two players are playing their best football, that's a great sign. And Oklahoma State's best two players are right now on fire these last 3 weeks.
Whedon, all kinds of time, finds Blackman again, and he breaks a tackle. First down in plus territory as Derek Mays just couldn't stay with Justin Blackman, a gain of 23.
Well, Justin Blackman, 26 catches the last 2 weeks. And you look at this passing combination, you know, the completion percentage doesn't mean that much to me now because there's so many bubble screens and swings. But these two guys right here give you that deep ball threat, and it's as good as anybody's in the country.
Cooper sidesteps a tackler, then loses his balance after a gain of 8. Well, just to bring into perspective the numbers that Blackman has had in his last 9 quarters of football or so, he has over 400 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah. Bob Goodrich, our producer, played tight end at SMU.
He put up those kind of numbers.
I played tight end in college. We could combine our career stats. And it's the last 3 weeks for Justin Blackman.
Whedon outside. That's another first down. This time Isaiah Anderson makes the catch. And boy, right now Brandon Whedon is making this look as easy as could be.
I think he's underrated. You know, I saw somewhere where he wasn't even ranked as one of the top 5 NFL quarterback prospects. Come on now. I don't care if this guy's 38 years old. People worried about his age a little bit. Are you kidding me? This kid has a great delivery, a great personality. I don't think there's any question he's an NFL player.
Walking into the end zone is Josh Stewart with another Oklahoma State touchdown. A blown coverage by Texas Tech. And OSU is making this look awfully easy. This year alone for Brandon Whedon, 29 touchdown passes against only 9 interceptions. And if Andrew Luck isn't careful, he better play well tonight, because Brandon Whedon starting to sneak up the Heisman chart as well.
I think what you're going to see on this coach's angle copy, as we let this roll, you're going to see the inside receiver. If we freeze it right there, the corner is going to collapse with the outside receiver, and they're going to run the wheel route down the sideline. That corner has to come off and realize there's a outside receiver in his zone. That was just a busting coverage by the corner.
He might be 28 years old. He might be 2 months older than Aaron Rodgers and older than half the quarterbacks in the NFL. But Brandon Weeden in college football is playing about as well as any quarterback in the country. 29 touchdown passes now this season against only 9 interceptions. And again, a deep kickoff by Sharp out of the back of the end zone.
Talk about if we played today, BCS National Championship, what a great game, LSU and Oklahoma State, because there's not another offense in college football that's executing at the level Oklahoma State is executing. And now that you have Justin Blackman playing to his potential, which his potential right now is the best receiver in the country. You sprinkle in Josh Cooper. You sprinkle in the running back Randall. They are a great offensive team.
Iggy over the middle. In stride, he finds Jacoby Franks. Franks gets up the sideline and has a first down. Gain of 11.
And this is where Oklahoma State's defense stats are a little bit deceiving. You know, they're 110th or whatever they are in total defense. They get ahead in games. They play a bit of a bend but don't break style, so they're going to give up yards.
Iggy underneath again. Gain of about 7. Short hookup with Eric Ward. It'll be 2nd down and 3 as we check in with Shelley.
Justin Blackman came off the field. He looked like he might be injured, but what they did is they took a Band-Aid and put it on his knee. He had scraped his knee, and they've now put a black sleeve over it. Does not look serious.
All right, Shelley, I would think that a scrape on the knee probably wouldn't be enough to keep Justin Blackman out of what has been a terrific performance here in the first quarter.
You watch him on tape. He can beat you up blocking, too. He's probably 220 pounds.
Bubble screen on 2nd and 3, and Caleb Levy read it perfectly. Jacoby Franks blown up by Levy. It'll be 3rd down and about 4 after a loss of a yard.
Open field tackling. Obviously, when you play these spread teams that throw so many little short routes, run after the catch always becomes a critical factor. So tackling the open field is always a priority.
Five-man rush on 3rd and 4. And an interception picked off by Cooper Bassett. Another takeaway for the #1 takeaway team in the country. And Oklahoma State has it back in plus territory. 19th interception on the season for Oklahoma State.
Yeah, you're going to see number 80. If we let it roll, he's going to spy out. Here he comes from the top. Right there, the defensive end spying into coverage, and the takeaways continue now with 33. That's a defensive lineman's dream right there. But 33 takeaways. On track for 45. That's been a big mark of Bill Young's defenses since he's been at Oklahoma State.
Swing pass to Josh Cooper. No gain. That'll take us to the end of the first quarter. Terrence Bullitt on the stop, but there have not been many stops for Texas Tech in the opening 15 minutes. It began with what we've seen all season. Weed to Blackman. Joseph Randall with a short touchdown run. Josh Stewart gets in the act, and it's 21-0 Cowboys. Cowboys looking very much like the #2 team in the BCS. College football presented by K Jewelers continues. Bob Wischusen, Bob Davie, Shelley Smith with you in Lubbock. 21-0 Oklahoma State, and they are back in plus territory. Lots of self-inflicted wounds in the first quarter for Texas Tech. Brandon Weeden already with 2 touchdown passes today, and he has been nearly perfect. Close to another first down to Tracy Moore. And Coach, not just for the fans in Lubbock, but maybe for the fans in Palo Alto, a few fans out there in Boise that want to believe an upset could happen. What hope can you give them for what Texas Tech has done so far?
Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma State with 3 major mistakes in the first quarter. The fumble on the punt return, the blown coverage, then they throw the interception plus a couple penalties. I mean, this is the best offensive team in the country right now, Oklahoma State. So if you're Texas Tech, you have to play flawlessly. They have to be careful right now they don't get blown out of this stadium.
Whedon going end zone again. Held on to. It's a touchdown. Isaiah Anderson. What a catch by Anderson.
Yeah, Isaiah Anderson's the outside receiver. He's just going to run a little out and go. Perfectly thrown ball. Let's see if he has possession of this. Yeah, that's an excellent. The wind doesn't matter to Brandon Whedon. He's just done it in both directions with long throws going both ways. Isaiah Anderson, a speed receiver. Wow. That is great execution. Throw and catch.
Well, they are trying to keep their guns up here in Lubbock, but it's not easy as we take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. And here's why for the Texas Tech fans. They've given the ball away a couple of times. Brandon Whedon has been perfect coach, and this has been a clinic so far by the Cowboys.
You know, you really do have to give Mike Gundy and his staff a lot of credit. He said it best this week. This is March Madness. I mean, every week they've had big games. You come off last week, that thriller against Kansas State. I mean, to get your team to come out here and perform at 11 o'clock in the morning against a Texas Tech team you're favored over, but to be able to execute the way they've executed it in the first half, I mean, you got to give a lot of credit to this coaching staff. This is an oiled up team.
Into the wind, Quinn Sharp. That ball bounces out to Kenny Williams, and then they leave it there. Into the end zone. The Cowboys recover. Another touchdown for Oklahoma State, gift wrapped by the Red Raiders. And Josh Stewart does it on special teams now.
It's unraveled. We talked about, let's take a look at it again. Really not much concentration right there, but this is inexcusable right here.
Ben McCroy dropped the ball and Kenny Williams couldn't pick it up. Texas Tech is just handing 7 points at a time to Oklahoma State.
Bob, I go back, just having coached for a long time, and Texas Tech to get manhandled in Austin last week. When you give up 440 yards rushing, coming off 370 to Iowa State, you have a deflated, beaten down football team. And this game started out so poorly, but right now it is just unraveled in all phases for Texas Tech.
Just 2 races remaining to crown a champion. Only 3 points separate Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart in the fight for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup continues with the Cobalt Tools 500 at Phoenix. Coverage begins tomorrow on ESPN at 2 Eastern. That is a tight race at the top. Don't count out Kevin Harvick. I've been telling you all year, too, to keep an eye on Kevin Harvick, and you've been sleeping on him.
I would never disagree with your expertise in NASCAR. But, you know, you look at Texas Tech, and, you know, Tommy Tuberville's a good football coach. And these guys work their tail off this week. They probably spent more time in the office than the Oklahoma State coaches, because when it's going bad, that's what you do. And then to come out here today and just lay an egg is just so deflating and so frustrating.
Well, right now, Oklahoma State is averaging a touchdown about every 3 minutes and 5 seconds.
And you've got 2 special teams mistakes by Texas Tech, a fumbled punt and a fumbled kickoff return.
Quinn Sharp has a nuclear leg. Another touchback. I love, we get the Desmond Howard Heisman Trophy duck today for our Aflac trivia question. Which of these 2 schools has had 16 consecutive winning seasons? It's a 50-50 shot.
That's probably a good time to play that question right now. I'm going to give the people at home a little hint on who it is. It's probably a good moral boost for that team to see that graphic put up.
Either that or a little insulting. Depends on how you look at it. Texas Tech get anything going. Dagey underneath. Finds DeAndre Washington. He is swamped under after a gain of about 2. Second down and 8 coming up for Texas Tech.
You know, if you're defensively, if you're Bill Young, you're playing with a 35-point cushion with really the whole second quarter left. Pretty fun to coach defense right now.
Dagey to the sideline. That's a first down connection and a tackle broken by Alex Torres. Ends up going down at about the 33, but Texas Tech will move the chains.
Well, you're going to see, I think, a faster tempo because it's completely all 2-minute offense from here on out, even though it's early in the second quarter. So they're going to let it rip now. See them in empty, no back formation, spreading Oklahoma State out. Big splits by their offensive line. Characteristic of Texas Tech always.
Trap a handoff to Ben McCroy. Nothing there. Tyler Johnson does a great job to set the edge for Oklahoma State, and he's finished off by Ryan Robinson. Second down and 10.
This Tech team lost Eric Stevens, who I think was their best football player. Kid had averaged 114 yards a game. Hurt his knee, I think, in the A&M game.
It was the A&M game. Dagey back to the sideline. A first down catch made by Darren Moore.
Watching Dagey yesterday, Bob, both of us realize he's accurate. Dad was a high school coach. I mean, the coaches love this kid. See Oklahoma State, they're going to play a lot of that 2 safety look. Obviously, just don't give up the big play and have some fun.
Little tunnel screen to Torres. And he picks up 5 to the 49-yard line of Oklahoma State. It'll be second down and 5.
You see that little tunnel screen, jailbreak screen. You know, Texas Tech always runs that to their right. And the reason they always run it to their right is just execution for the quarterback. They always throw it to Alex Torres because he's their most courageous receiver. So there's a lot of little subtle coaching that goes in, but execution on those little plays is critical.
A little seam to about the Oklahoma State 46 for Aaron Crawford. Markel Martin stopped him about 1.5 yards shy of the first down. So third down and short for the Red Raiders.
Yeah, both these teams run a lot of plays. I mean, just total plays. When you turn the ball over, though, like Texas Tech has, it's really not a factor.
Crawford very close to a first down. It looks like he has it. Dagey goes for the home run down the sideline. In stride, it goes through the hands of Marcus Kennard. Pretty good coverage by Justin Gilbert. He might have gotten a slight piece of that football, but for Kennard, that looked catchable.
Yeah, we talk about these two teams so similar. Oh, that is a great effort by Gilbert. I think he got a piece of that.
I think he did too.
But it comes down to guys making plays in critical situations. You've seen Oklahoma State make that throw and catch. Tech just unable to do it.
Dagey slides to the 40, a gain of 3. It'll be third down and 7. This was a long time coming for Seth Dagey to get the chance to start this year. He had one start coming into the year. That was back in 2009. Also suffered knee injuries in high school. He missed his junior and senior years of high school. So it's really been since 2005 that he's played a full football season as a starter. Only a junior. Slants one right at the first down marker to Torres. And on third and 7, they get 8.
I think Torres is a great story, Bob. You know, he was a quarterback in high school in El Paso. went to the Air Force Academy, but he went up there to their prep school and found out that academy life wasn't quite what he wanted, and ended up walking on at Tech and has had a heck of a career.
Dagey will run again to the 25-yard line or so. Actually marked down at the 26, so it'll be 2nd down and 4. Down to Shelley.
It's a tale of two sidelines here. Oklahoma State looks like they've been given a big Christmas gift. They are giddy with delight. Meanwhile, 2 first downs here on the Texas Tech sideline have them up and pumping their fists and encouraging their guys to go on. So there you have it.
Well, Shelley, we'll see if Seth Dagey in some way, shape, or form can get some life breathed back into this game on this drive for Tech. Not that time. Sean Lewis on a blitz up the middle, dumps DeAndre Washington for a loss back outside the 30-yard line. Now it'll be 3rd down at about 9.
Sean Lewis times that up. You're going to see him just run through the A gap right here. See those big splits by Texas Tech. That's always a concern. The more you split out, the more room you have to run those linebackers through.
Dagey to the sideline. That's incomplete. Now it's 4th down and 9, and down by 35 points. You have to go for it, don't you? The plus 31-yard line?
I think you have to go, yeah.
Unless you punt the ball inside the 5-yard line, you're not going to pick up more than about 15 to 20 yards worth of field position.
Well, and Texas Tech's had 3 field goals blocked this year. So you don't want to try a long field goal and get it blocked. So really, you don't have much choice right here.
4th and 9. Dagey well protected. Again to the sideline. Right at the 1st down marker. It depends on the spot. Eric Ward came back and made the catch just inside the 23. He needed to get to the 22.
Looks like he's short.
He's going to be a half-yard shy. Texas Tech is going to lose the football on downs. 1st down, Oklahoma State.
1st and 10 for the Cowboys.
Well, you had no choice. You had to go for it. Even trying to field goal, should you make it? What good this 3 points to you down 35.
ESPN's College Football on ABC. Brought to you by Buick. See real stories of human achievement on the Buick Human Highlight Reel at ncaa.com/Buick. And peek inside, outside, all around your car. When you peek, you win.
The American Wind Power Center Museum in Lubbock has on display over 100 rare and fully restored windmills. And Bob Davey was kind enough to go there yesterday and with his fanny pack on and his big Nikon shoot some of these pictures for us.
It's a little windy out there.
Yeah, the coach always likes to take in the tourist attractions on all of our stops on the road, and that obviously one is Jeremy Smith. Picks up about 2 yards on 1st down for Oklahoma State. Cody Davis made the stop.
Let's take a look at this drive chart. Well, those TDs are pretty consistent over there, except for that one punt. But keep in mind, a fumbled punt by Texas Tech, a fumbled kickoff return by Texas Tech, and an interception.
Play action for Whedon, all day to throw. Slings it over the middle, pitch and catch with Josh Cooper. Another big gain and a 1st down in plus territory for Oklahoma State, a gain of 29. And Coach, right now it looks like the Cowboys could just name the score.
Bob, you do NFL, you do the Jets games every week. This kid is an NFL quarterback. He stands in that pocket, he has a quick release, he makes a quick decision, he lets it rip. This is impressive. This is impressive. Now, I know it's a deflated Tech team, but that has nothing to do with accuracy of the quarterback.
Screen to Randall. Maybe lost a half yard. Brent Truehurst came up to make the tackle for Tech.
Oklahoma State, when they got way ahead of Missouri, ran the ball, just ran it. Missouri had a bit of a comeback. You see here, Oklahoma State's going to keep doing what they do on offense. They're not going to get into just running Randall.
Out of bounds at about the 40-yard line, 4 yards shy of a 1st down is Tracy Moore. Time to answer our Aflac trivia question. Which of these two schools has had 16 consecutive winning seasons? And the answer, the Red Raiders.
Go back to Spike Dykes at Texas Tech. been a good football program. They've had good football teams for a long time. It's always been a tough place to play, Lubbock. That's what makes it even more impressive, Oklahoma State coming in here and doing this.
3rd and 4, and Justin Blackman moves the chains.
You know, Bob, you talked about our travels around the country. It's interesting going inside these facilities in the Big 12, excuse me. I mean, Texas Tech has done a remarkable job with their facilities, but none compare to what's going on up in Stillwater.
It's nice to have that bank account to draw on if you're the folks in Stillwater, but you're right, they have done a terrific job. 12 straight completions, by the way, for Brandon Whedon.
Second man-to-man coverage right here. There's going to be a penalty.
He missed Blackman, overthrew him slightly, and there's a penalty in the offensive backfield.
Boy, I thought they missed a little jersey grab on Blackman right there. I saw that jersey jump out.
It might not matter. It might be 15 yards anyway, as Brandon Whedon might have been roughed.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Number 11 defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
It's Leon Mackey called for the personal foul.
That's an easy call. Frustration. Also a hold on Blackman. Boy, just penalties.
Whedon under pressure, looking end zone again for Blackman. This one's incomplete. That time Scott Smith was able to put Whedon down. It'll be 2nd down and 10, midway through the 2nd quarter of a game where Texas Tech could not have more self-inflicted wounds. Yeah. And Oklahoma State has taken advantage of every one.
It really is incredible what an offensive league the Big 12 has turned into. It is all spread out and throw it. The defenses are really trying to catch up.
Wide open up the middle for Randall. And it looks as if he has a first down. It should be 1st and goal.
Well, the biggest decision Mike Gundy's going to have is who he plays in the second half. They play Friday night at Iowa State. That's a pretty good worry list to have right now, isn't it? Figuring out who I'm going to play in the second half. How long does Wheaton stay in?
Randall again. You know, we just had the red zone touchdown chart up for Oklahoma State. I'm not sure what's more impressive on that chart. The fact that this is their 65th red zone opportunity of the season, or the fact that on the previous 64 they've scored 44 touchdowns. 65 red zone opportunities in not quite 9.5 games. Timeout taken by Oklahoma State. That's a lot of trips to the red zone for the Cowboys. We are here in Texas. Obviously, it's Cowboy country. And I'm trying to figure out before I head back to New Jersey which purchase to make. So we're going to take a look at some options here. Can't rob one from the Masked Rider. That's not fair. Maybe that one. That might be the way to go.
I'm getting a visual of you. Because you're a true New Yorker.
Yes.
In your ostrich boots.
That
are
hat
about 3 sizes too big for you.
And a Jets foam finger. That might be the way to go.
The cowboy hat that's too big, that's down over your eyes.
Whedon to Blackman. This one floats out of bounds, but that's almost like a lunar eclipse, and a flag down. Hard to believe they would call that a catchable ball, as Cornelius Douglas was trying to stay with Justin Blackman. But that ball sailed about 7 or 8 yards out of bounds.
Pass interference, number 2 defense. Foul occurred in the end zone. Ball be placed at the 2. First down.
Yeah, the jersey again. I mean, it's not that bad a contact, but you got a handful of jersey. It's too easy. You know, you make it too easy on the side judge there to make that call. You can't do that. And that's really just a lack of discipline, because it had nothing to do with anything other than I wanted to grab his jersey.
Right. Well, Tech fans would call that uncatchable, as Randall goes up the middle and gets to about the 1-yard line. But even if the ball is uncatchable, you can still call defensive hold.
Exactly.
And that's a hold, and that would put the ball at the same place that it is now. So one way or the other, that is a penalty against Cornelius Douglas. It'll be 2nd down and goal at the 1 for Oklahoma State.
This little diamond formation. You know, shotguns teams have to be creative in the red zone with the quarterback not under center. This is their version of the inverted wishbone right here.
Randall cuts it back up inside. Strong run by Randall. His second rushing touchdown here in the first half.
You can
And
see
the blowout gets worse.
it's not the formation. It's who's running the ball and who's tackling. Because that time Tech, with a lot of penetration, just couldn't tackle.
On top of that, Donald Langley is down and hurt for Texas Tech. So their starting nose tackle goes down. And Joseph Randall now with 22 total touchdowns this season.
Boy, if you're Tech fighting to get bowl eligible, 5-4, you have Missouri and Baylor your next 2 games. Let's take a look and see if the ball crosses the plane of the goal line before the knee goes down. I would say yes.
And on the edge of your screen, you could see the right leg of Donald Langley kind of collapse underneath him as well. So there would have to be indisputable video evidence to overturn the call on the field. And Joseph Randall now, that is his 13th touchdown in the last 3.5 games for Oklahoma State. He had a 4-touchdown performance, or a 5-touchdown performance, I believe, in the game we did against Baylor. Last week, a big game against Kansas State. Again, he had 3 touchdowns in that game, and this is the 2nd touchdown here in the first half for Randall.
Yeah, that ball gets across the plane. But yeah, he's the perfect spread tailback because he catches the ball so well on those swings out of the backfield. He's a talented player.
Randall's number 2 in the country in scoring. He scores more than kickers do.
He may be number 1 before the day's over.
42-0. Cowboys on top.
You're watching ESPN College Football on ABC, presented by Kay Jewelers.
5.5 minutes to go in the opening half here in Lubbock, and Oklahoma State has put a whooping so far on Texas Tech, coach, that basically is every bit what that score would indicate. And the Red Raiders have just made some unmakeable mistakes against a team this opportunistic. And the Cowboys have taken advantage of each one.
And I know it sounds cliche-ish, but if you're Texas Tech, it is all about pride right now. It is about all the hard work you put into this, how much you've sacrificed. This is one of your 12 games.
Will come early at 8/7 Central for an all-new Last Man Standing this Tuesday. The comedy hit nominated for the People's Choice Award for Best New Comedy. Tim Allen is Last Man Standing Tuesday, 8/7 Central on ABC.
Another thing, Bob, you know, this is the last home game for these seniors. They play Missouri at Missouri. They play Baylor in Texas at Jerry Jones Stadium. You're not going to win the game, but just play it out now. Play better from this point forward than you have to this point.
Dagey floats one to Marquez. And Marquez picks up about 7 yards on first down. I'm wondering where the team is that we saw against Oklahoma 3 weeks ago on a Saturday night. I mean, it's amazing. That's the only game that Texas Tech has won in their last 5. They lost 2 going into that game. They get walloped the week after they beat Oklahoma on the road by Iowa State in this building. Where is that team that we saw that one night?
Yeah, and don't think Oklahoma fans and Bob Stoops and that staff aren't thinking the same thing. I mean, you look at Texas Tech's wins: Texas State, New Mexico, Nevada, and Kansas. And then Oklahoma.
Where you're knocking off a team that's undefeated and has a chance to win the national championship, and at the start of the season might have been the favorite to win the national championship, as Eric Ward picks up a first down. And Seth Dagey that night looked about as in command and as cool a customer executing his offense as just about any quarterback we've seen play so far this year. And slings one low that pops out. They will call that an incomplete pass intended for Alex Torres. Markel Martin was there on the stop.
And at this point in this game, it may sound like a small point, but a major point against Oklahoma. They got ahead. They got ahead where Oklahoma had to throw it. Texas Tech could be balanced on offense, The problem Texas Tech has had, they've fallen behind in every game so dramatically early. But I mean, you can't, obviously, you're playing a team like Oklahoma or Oklahoma State. Let's just list the mistakes that Texas Tech made today that you called self-inflicted. I mean, there's a laundry list of just self-inflicted mistakes. Yeah, it's not so much about these total yards. I mean, there's going to be a lot of yards. It's about the mistakes.
3rd down and 8. 4-man rush for the Cowboys. Dagey under pressure, and he will go down. It'll be 4th down for Texas Tech. And really, with where they are on the field, down in distance, 4th down and 11, no choice but to send Erxleben out to punt. Rashedi Jones gets his 3rd sack of the season.
You know, it's amazing how chemistry, momentum, all those things make that gap wider. There's not this much gap between Oklahoma State and Texas Tech, trust me. It's just they're two ships going in totally different directions right now. And that gap just widens, widens, widens.
Timeout called on special teams by Mike Gundy from the sideline. So we'll step aside for 30 seconds and come right back to Lubbock in a moment. It has been a rough day for the Red Raiders. You can see they are wearing these commemorative uniforms, camouflage on the shoulders with country integrity on the backs in honor of the wounded warriors honored today here in Lubbock on this Veterans Day weekend. What a scene it was last night on the USS Carl Vinson in San Diego, watching a basketball game on the deck of an aircraft carrier. Line drive punt by Erxleben, fielded by Cooper. Picks up a block. And Cooper's out to about the 33-yard line. Aaron Crawford made the stop. But, Coach, we talked about the mistakes Texas Tech made early in this game. And the miscues, a big reason why we are where we are.
Yeah, I mean, Alex Torres, a guy with great hands, just not their normal punt returner. Then they have the blown coverage right here where the corner collapses and lets the outside receiver run the wheel route. They get the interception right here where Dagey just throws it right into his hands. And then we have this debacle right here on the kickoff return. It was an Oklahoma State touchdown.
Whedon up top, wide open is Cooper. And he's all the way inside the Texas Tech 35-yard line. 33 more on the hookup from Whedon to Cooper. That's a player that Mike Gundy's just happy to have back. He missed the Kansas State game with a hamstring injury. He's been banged up, but if Josh Cooper is 100%, that's a completely new and added element to an offense that is rolling. Randall lost a yard.
You know, you talk about Oklahoma State and their talent level. I think they have something like 60-some players on this team from Texas. And what they've done in Texas, Bob, look at that. Won last 8 Big 12 games versus teams from Texas. That's amazing. I mean, that really is. We're talking about Texas, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, and Baylor.
Whedon pumps down the sideline for Blackman through his hands. He had a step. Whedon slightly underthrew him, but it looked as if Blackman had an easy touchdown.
It's almost like he misjudged the ball. Let's see what happens here. He clearly has the defender beat. The ball is slightly underthrown. He just missed it. Might have jumped a little early. Watch. And that's a sign. One thing Blackman, the one negative, he'll have a drop a game. He dropped a fumble last week. That's the only thing, is that little bit of inconsistency in his game. That should have been a touchdown.
Whedon tries him again, and this time Blackman has a first down. Just about a couple of yards shot.
Try to tackle him now. Try to get him down.
Coming up, the Capital One halftime report with scores and highlights from around the country.
I'm interested in Jesse Palmer. Here's a quarterback guru sitting back there in New York in the studio. I want him to evaluate Brandon Whedon. To me, he's a top first-round NFL quarterback pick.
Randall breaking tackles on 4th down and 1 and picks up a first down. So right back in the red zone for Oklahoma State with under 90 seconds to go in the first half.
Well, Oklahoma State averages 50 points a game. Let's see if they can get that by halftime.
Whedon might try for it here. High and over the head of Tracy Moore. That might have been the first inaccurate throw by Brandon Whedon today, as Brandon Whedon has now passed Mike Gundy for second all-time in Oklahoma State history with most career passing yards. He might track down Zach Robinson before this game's over.
Yeah. And what's he only been? This is his second year as a starting quarterback.
Stiff arm used by Moore. He gets to the 10-yard line, about 2 yards shy of the first down. It'll be 3rd down and 2 at the 10 with 1 minute to go in the first half.
I think Mike Gundy's done a great job. They have an identity. You know, the up-tempo, throw the ball, fast break kind of offense. I think he's done a tremendous job of gearing this entire program to that up-tempo offense, from how they practice to how they recruit, everything.
Randall bounces it outside, looking for touchdown number 3, and he's got it.
I think that's the last you'll see of Oklahoma State's starting offense today. You think I'm safe saying that at 49-0 at half? Do you think? Are you with me on that, Coach Hugh?
If I were Mike Gundy standing over there, and I would think that there's a pretty good chance I'd feel comfortable with a 49-0
Nothing like,
lead.
okay, let's give them 1 series in the second half. We don't need that. The risk of injury is not worth the reward.
21 rushing touchdowns on the season now for Joseph Randall.
You have to feel for Texas Tech. You know, there's a lot of coaching going on, the tough kind of coaching going on over on that Texas Tech side. It's easy. It's fun right now on the Oklahoma State side. It's what it's all about right here from Texas Tech. Let's take a look at the touchdown. They clearly have him outnumbered. Again, it's not what play, it's who's running the play. Just loose, contained to the outside, and kind of a walk-in touchdown right there for Randall.
14 touchdowns for Joseph Randall in the last 3.5 games. That's unbelievable. And what's even maybe more unbelievable, the numbers that Brandon Whedon has put up this season, as he is about 75% on his completion percentage, and he is spreading it all over the field. 23 of 28 with 3 touchdowns in the first half.
Yeah, and so much of it here are the swing passes, but a lot of people, again, don't realize how critical the execution, how hard some of those throws are on those swings. He is very accurate and getting better. What I like about him, he's getting better. He's not a guy that's played 4 years in college football and kind of treading water at the end of his career. He's getting better every week.
This is Quinn Sharp's 8th kickoff of the first half. 7 of the 8 have been touchbacks, as he sails that one out of the back of the end zone. By the way, the only kick in the first half that wasn't a touchback was that debacle of a fumble that turned into a touchdown. So he's got 7 touchbacks and a score on his 8 kickoffs here in the first half.
That's tough right there.
And what do you say to your team at halftime? If
Yeah.
you're Tommy Tuberville, how do you have them at least motivated to come out in the second half and give you an effort?
Yeah, well, there's no magic word. There's no magic words. You shouldn't have to say much. You can't say much. It's about each guy just digging down and showing some pride and coming out here and competing.
Draw play to Washington. DeAndre Washington has a first down, and that'll stop the clock for the moment with 29 seconds to go here in the first half.
That's what Tommy Tuberville's thinking about right now. His whole thought, his whole focus is on, what do I say to this football team? And not only the team, but the coaching staff at halftime. It isn't about what the fans think. It isn't about what the media is going to write. It's about, what do I say to my guys and rally them.
That should take us to halftime with Oklahoma State on top 49-0. And you mentioned what would Tommy Tuberville say to his team at halftime. Let's find out. He is down on the field with Shelley.
Coach, what do you do? What do you do now?
Well, we got to keep just making mistakes. You know, those 3 turnovers just absolutely killed us. We killed ourselves on about 3 or 4 penalties. Seems like everything's going against us. Maybe the second half we'll get a few things to go our way. We can't slow them down. And we try to stop the run, and they throw the ball. They're doing a good job of play action. We'll get a little bit better this second half, but our offense, you know, if our offense doesn't play and move the ball, it just puts our defense in the bind.
What will you say to your players and staff to keep them motivated?
Well, you know, that you got to have pride in this game too. I mean, you got to have pride, and you got to go in and make sure that you know, everybody's got their head up. We'll play the second half and play it hard and see what happens.
Great, thanks so much.
All right, Shelley, thanks very much. Tough to keep your head up when you're down 49-0 at halftime. Let's go back to Scott Van Pelt and Jesse Palmer with the halftime report.
Welcome back to ESPN College Football on ABC, presented by Kay Jewelers.
We mentioned how much fun it might be to be the masked rider here at Texas Tech aboard Midnight Matador. Well, this is how much fun that job is. Now everybody's had a chance to be the masked rider. Bob Wischusen, Bob Davies, Shelley Smith here in Lubbock. Coach, unfortunately, that was the last time anyone wearing red and black had a chance to put their guns up and cheer, because Oklahoma State took over the first half early. They capitalized on Texas Tech mistakes. The Red Raiders made mistakes you really can't make against a team as opportunistic as the Cowboys. And here we are starting the second half at 49-0.
Really is a great example just of 2 teams going in opposite directions. I mean, the gap between these 2 teams is not nearly as big as that score indicates. But because of what's all accumulated throughout the season, through the first half to this point, one team is just that much dramatically better at this point in time.
The first time today that Texas Tech has kicked off. And Justin Gilbert has issues with the kickoff. It bounces to Josh Stewart, and there goes Josh Stewart. All the way out close to the 30-yard line. Well, just when you think maybe something might go Texas Tech's way, a bounce friendly for Oklahoma State. We had plenty of that in the first half, but we also had Brandon Weeden, Justin Blackman, Joseph Randall doing what they have done all year. This probably is the best offense we've seen.
I think you hit the nail on the head, and I think you have 3 star players that are playing their best football of the entire season late in this season. And, you know, if you're Oklahoma State controlling your destiny to the BCS title game, I don't think you could draw the script up any better.
Weeden under pressure in the opening play of the second half, and finally a play made on defense by Texas Tech. Scott Smith gets his 3rd sack of the season and drops Weeden back at about his own 18-yard line.
And these decisions, obviously Oklahoma State's going to win this game, but as a coach, these decisions of how long do you keep Brandon Weeden in? If you're Texas Tech, how does your team respond under the absolute worst conditions? That's when you find out the most about your guys sometimes. So there still are compelling things to find out here in the second half.
Weeden just barely underthrew Blackman. Cornelius Douglas was there in coverage. As we take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. And the first half numbers pretty astounding for Oklahoma State. Obviously the 49 points, but 3 takeaways and scoring a touchdown off each turnover.
And really, if we listed penalties and some other things for Texas Tech, I mean, there would be a whole list of mistakes. That still doesn't take away, though, how Oklahoma State has executed in this game.
Draw play to Randall on 3rd and 20, and he's got the first down. Gain of 22 for Randall.
You're going to see Texas Tech. Watch the nose guard spy out of there. See 91? He's kind of spying. He just can't make the play. You know, that thing developed and those gaps opened up. They actually had the nose guard spying for some kind of draw or screen. He just couldn't get there.
Randall again. Spins for about 3.5. Daniel Cobb made the stop.
I think the question, if you're Mike Gundy, you keep your first offense in. Little risk of injury, plus sometimes your best guys don't play their best when the score's 49-0, or you better off to put younger guys in who embrace the chance to play.
I'm going to approach it from a different angle. We'll talk about it after this play. 2nd down and about 7. Whedon to Randall. Lost the football up in the air and taken away by Texas Tech. On the turnover, cutting it back inside, Cornelius Douglas. And he's into the end zone with a touchdown.
And now you have to keep your first offense in. That conversation is moot now. Actually, Brandon Whedon had a horse collar that wasn't called, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes when that throttle's turned down a little bit, Oklahoma State offensively, those mistakes jump up and bite you. Now Oklahoma State has to come back out and execute here on this next drive.
That looked like a mistake. Erxleben was not able to handle the snap, it seemed, and so Texas Tech only comes away with 6.
Take a look at the big turnover, which led to the touchdown. The ball stripped out of there by Terrence Bullitt.
Cornelius Douglas takes it 40 yards for the defensive touchdown, and Texas Tech's on the board. Bob Wischusen, Bob Davie, and Shelley Smith back in Lubbock, where Texas Tech is on the board to start the 2nd half. Cornelius Douglas, normally a wide receiver, but he's been practicing with the defense at corner for the last few weeks. Got a chance to play cornerback today with the injury to Trey Porter. And he ends up with a fumble recovery, 40-yard touchdown return. Texas Tech, though, muffed the extra point, so it's 49-6. Now some of those West Texas wins start to play havoc with the football.
Yeah, Oklahoma State has the wind advantage here in the 3rd quarter, but I really think it's swirling, which is difficult on both teams.
So Donnie Corona will kick off once again. High short kick and a fair catch called for at about the 32-yard line as we head down to Shelley Smith.
Coach Gundy told me that he would like to keep his starters in just for the first series. Now, obviously, with the turnover, he probably has to play them longer. He says the key is keeping them sharp. I said, how do you do that? He said, I don't know. If I knew, I'd bottle it up. But they do plan to play the 2nd team.
Well, Shelley, it looks like, as you said, the starters will at least remain in for this next series for Oklahoma State. Brandon Whedon at quarterback, the widest man on the trips formation of the near side right is Justin Blackman. Trying to bounce it outside, Jeremy Smith. He picks up about 3 yards as we check in with Robert Flores back in the studio.
All right, Bob, Taco Bell studio update. Ohio State winners of 3 in a row, but trailing to Purdue. Braxton Miller gets them closer with the touchdown run. Buckeyes still down 17-14. Meantime, Nebraska driving and leading at Penn State 10-0 on ESPN.
All right, Robert, thanks very much. It's been all Oklahoma State for the most part here, and they keep it up. Isaiah Anderson with a stiff arm. He has a first down. And, Coach, we were talking earlier, how long would you leave Brandon Whedon in the game? Let me throw this one at you. I don't know if this ever enters the conversation amongst coaches. But he has a chance to win the Heisman Trophy. I legitimately believe that, at least to be in the conversation and among the group that goes to New York. A lot of it depends on Andrew Luck. It might depend on how Andrew Luck plays tonight. as Smith gets to the edge. But let's say, just for the sake of argument, Andrew Luck plays Oregon tonight and has a bad night. Throws a couple of interceptions. Stanford loses. Oklahoma State plays their next couple of games as you would expect. They've got Iowa State next week. And he plays lights out in the Bedlam game against Oklahoma. I mean, would you leave him in the second half of this game just to let him even compile some more numbers? Because how the voters might look at that could factor into Brandon Whedon's chances to win the Heisman.
I don't think that does. Just having coached, I mean, that's way down your list of things that you think about. Potentially what I could possibly think about is the human vote in the BCS poll. As a team, how that affects us. You know, the human vote still plays such a significant factor in the national championship as to who gets in it. But I don't think individually you get it down to that when it comes to those individual awards. Wow.
Whedon to Blackman on 3rd down and 3, and there goes Blackman. Touchdown.
Well, that's the dilemma. If you play man free, you're going to see him in man free. This is just bump and run man coverage. He gives up the inside because he thinks the safety's there for help, but then the safety misses the tackle. So it's difficult, whether it's zone, whether it's man to man. You have a star player right here in Justin Blackman. That's a tough matchup. But if it's man coverage, Bob, and you miss the tackle, there's nobody left. I think they're back on rhythm now. I think that was the one series.
Well, Blackman now has 6 touchdowns in his last 3 games. And this is the most lethal passing combination in the country. Whedon to Blackman. Watched it all year.
ESPN's college football on ABC. Brought to you by Toyota and the U.S. Postal Service. It's all in the mail.
The Silent Wings Museum commemorated our country's veterans on Veterans Day Friday. The museum preserves and promotes the history of the World War II glider program, which carried troops and heavy equipment to combat zones. And we had our wounded warriors on the field earlier today, honored before the game here in Lubbock. And about as loud as we heard Jones A&T Stadium all day was for this group. Veterans Day weekend. And again, our thanks to all of our servicemen and women around the world keeping us safe. Marquez on the kickoff return. Out of bounds at the 21-yard line as we check in with Robert.
All right, Bob, Nebraska opening up their lead over Penn State. Taylor Martinez watched the late pitch here to Rex Burkhead. They reviewed it. It was upheld. Cornhuskers leading at Penn State 17-0 third quarter.
All right, Robert. Well, a moment ago we saw Clint Chelf starting to throw some warm-up passes over on the Oklahoma State sideline. So that indeed might be it for Brandon Whedon and Justin Blackman for the rest of the day. And believe it or not, this is the best starting field position of the day for Texas Tech. And I think we have an injured official. And he's a hockey player. Looks like he'll stay in the game. Now the field judge going to head back to the sideline, and he will be replaced. We have an extra official, obviously an observer with us. So Nick Labe, the field judge, shaken up on the return a moment ago.
Watch him come in right.
Ouch. Draw play to Washington. And that is very close to a first down for Texas Tech, a gain of about 9 yards. Check that, Aaron Crawford on the carry. Eric Ward with a nice block out on the edge to spring up Crawford for a gain of 9 yards to the 31. It'll be 2nd down and 1. They keep it on the ground. Alex Elkins with the stop on Crawford, but it looks to be good enough for a Texas Tech 1st down. Aaron Crawford had issues with his breathing, believe it or not, to the point that as a backup last season, he was not able to give Texas Tech more than a couple of plays at a time. Dakey to the sideline, that sails wide, but Crawford actually had surgery on the upper part of his nose to free up the breathing passages back at the end of the summer. And according to Neil Brown, the offensive coordinator for the Red Raiders, they said you could really see a difference. Last year, if we had him out there on punt coverage, he was done for a few plays. He'd come back completely gassed, but now able to stay in the game for longer stretches. This time DeAndre Washington, nice move in the open field. And he is in plus territory to the Oklahoma State 47.
DeAndre Washington, just a freshman, 5'8", 182 pounds. Quick little back that flourishes in these kind of schemes.
Gain of 19 on that carry by DeAndre Washington. Bubble screen to Marquez. He's inside the 40. That's 9 more yards for Texas Tech on 1st down. About 8.5. We'll call it 2nd down and a long one, close to 2.
Show you how good this Tech offense can be. 572 yards against OU. 580 against Kansas State, back-to-back weeks.
Washington dropped just shy of the 1st down marker by Alex Elkins. 3rd down and about a foot.
It seems to me that Dakey has struggled with this wind, obviously a lot more than Brandon Wheat. I mean, accuracy is his #1 deal. You see him going wildcat right here. But he has not been real accurate today.
Kenny Williams lines up to take the direct snap. And now Texas Tech late running one of their tackles on the field. Bo Carpenter got the word late, so we'll step aside as the Red Raiders have to spend a timeout here in the 3rd quarter. Oklahoma State having their way with Texas Tech, 56-6 here in the 3rd quarter as we continue Dr. Pepper's road to the championships. And again, it's Wildcat for Texas Tech. 3rd down and short. Kenny Williams dropped right at the 1st down marker. But it looks to be good enough for a Red Raider 1st down. And now Seth Dakey back in at quarterback.
Take a look at those Texas Tech offensive linemen. They're a little different. Nobody ever gets down in a 3-point stance. They're always in that 2-point stance.
Dakey tried to float one down the sideline to Eric Ward and just outthrew him by a hair. So it'll be 2nd down and 10.
The other thing with Texas Tech's offensive line, a little different. Big splits. The 3rd thing, they're really back off that line of scrimmage. You know, a lot of offensive lines. You can see the big splits right there. The theory in that is open up passing lanes. The next thing, look how far back off the line they are to create a bigger distance between them and the defensive linemen.
Dakey has to throw that one away. And I always wonder, Coach, what the definitive rule is. I mean, it's a judgment call on the part of the officials, obviously, to a certain extent. What defines whether or not an offensive lineman is or is not on the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, I think we'll get that same angle we had last time. If you look down this line of scrimmage, Bob, the helmets of these guards and tackles have to clear the butt of this center. In other words, they have to be right there to be considered on the line of scrimmage. They're really pretty good right there.
Dakey on 3rd down and 10. Back to midfield. Throws one into the flat, tipped around and caught for a loss of yardage by Jacoby Franks. It almost looked like he was trying to prevent an interception as Cooper Bassett chased Seth Dakey back to midfield, and Franks was able to tip the ball to himself.
Yeah, that was kind of an amazing play. He went up with his left hand, tipped it with his left hand right there, and then made the reception. 4th and 12.
Inside the 40-yard line of Oklahoma State. Dagey. Low, wide left, and incomplete. And for the second time in the game, Texas Tech turns the ball over on downs as Oklahoma State will take over near their own 40-yard line.
I think we're going to see what we've been waiting for. So Whedon is still in the game. I thought we were going to see Clint Shelf, the backup quarterback whose brother is a wide receiver on this team, but Whedon's going to get another series. The life of the backup quarterback.
It looks like Justin Blackman's afternoon might be done. Draw play and getting tripped up right at the line of scrimmage, falling for about a loss of a half yard with Joseph Randall. As we take a look at the 3 best offensive players that Oklahoma State has, and they all played like it today. 3 touchdowns for Randall and a couple of hookups between Whedon and Blackman.
You have to sprinkle also Josh Cooper in there as the 4th real weapon they have.
Isaiah Anderson out of bounds at about the 44-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and medium coming up for Oklahoma State after we check in with Robert.
All right, Bob, Penn State is on the board. They go 9 plays, 82 yards. Stephon Green capping it off. Nebraska had scored the first 17 points of this game, and Penn State is on the board but still trailing.
Robert, a little screen to Isaiah Anderson, and Texas Tech obviously still trailing, and they can't bring down Anderson before he picks up a first down.
You hear people talk about their concern about Brandon Whedon's age. He never gets hit, and he hasn't played that much football. It's not like he's a guy that's been beaten up. He just watches this game. He probably won't get touched the rest of this game. It's going to be run or bubble screen.
There goes Randall down the sideline. Stiff arms a helmet right off of a defender with a flag down back near the line of scrimmage. He took the helmet of Happiness of Sunday and made him quite unhappy. Knocked it right off. I have to check the penalty.
Illegal formation on the offense, more than 4 in the backfield. 5-yard penalty, first down.
This is a stiff arm.
Wow. Legal, as long as you just don't grab the face mask or grab the helmet. You're right. That was an explosive stiff arm.
First Oklahoma State penalty of the day.
Second.
And now that's a quick 2.
It's hard to keep that edge. You saw Oklahoma State with the turnover on the first series. Now a couple penalties. I mean, it is 56-6.
Number 60, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
So now it's 1st and 20. And Coach, the point you made that Mike Gundy made with us when he talked about Brandon Whedon is that he has hardly been hit. He's 28 years old, but that includes 6 to 7 years of playing baseball. Randall up the middle, and he gets out to about the 44-yard line. Obviously, it's a pretty well-known story, but Brandon Whedon was drafted by the Yankees and was a pitcher for 5 years with the Yankees, Dodgers, and Royals organizations before coming back to college football. So Mike Gundy said he's 28, but he's basically got the body of a 22-year-old in terms of the punishment that he's taken. So you're actually getting...
In other words, he's kind of like you.
Exactly.
You're 40 years old, but you have the body of a 22-year-old.
Randall lost the ball. Could this be another Oklahoma State turnover? And it looks like Texas Tech might have it. And they do. So the Red Raiders come up with the loose ball. Zach Wunbush with the recovery for Texas Tech.
Let's take a look right here. There it comes right there. High and tight. It's always that guy coming in from the side. But, Bob, that's my point of, I'm not second guessing. It's easy to sit up here and say you ought to put backups in. But that's Randall's second turnover of the second half, right? Sometimes you're better off with a guy who's a backup in the game, who is really, really excited about being in there, rather than you are keeping that starter in the game. Because really, it's just a lack of focus right now by Oklahoma State.
Leon Mackey stripped it out. Winbush with the recovery, and in plus territory, Dagey sets up the screen to DeAndre Washington, and he's down the sideline. Washington still inbounds. Almost to the 20-yard line. Bumped out at the 22.
Dagey's pass complete to number 21, DeAndre Washington, for a first down.
Yeah, the NFL type screen, Bob, to the running back. Injured player for Oklahoma State down on the field.
And that's Datejuan Lowe. So again, the danger of leaving starters in games that are pretty lopsided. You risk injury, and Datejuan Lowe, the starting free safety, having that left knee looked at. Johnny Thomas was declared ineligible earlier this year, so Datejuan Lowe takes over at free safety.
You're going to see it right there. It's a clear picture. Yeah, almost, I hate to speculate, but sometimes that looked more like a bruise than it did any kind of a twist.
Well, coming into today, Datejuan Lowe is the leading tackler for this Oklahoma State defense. So it's good to see him walking it off on the sideline. A true freshman, Isaac Masalera, replaces Lowe. And DeAndre Washington stood up at about the 21-yard line.
This Oklahoma State secondary, I think, is really talented. We talk about Broderick Brown, Justin Gilbert, Markel Martin, the safety, and then Datejuan Lowe. I think that's the strength of this team. They're a really talented secondary.
Second down and 9. Dagey off his back foot. Nice throw coming across the middle to about the 16-yard line is Washington. And there is a flag down in the offensive backfield of Texas Tech.
Washington. Tackle made by number 29, Joe Mitchell. Flag on the flag.
Personal foul, hands to the face, 73 offense, 15-yard penalty, second down.
That'll hurt Texas Tech as we take a look at what is to come tonight. And a terrific lineup of college football games. The one that really drew the attention of Bob Davie, don't sleep on those Hilltoppers as they take on LSU tonight, 7 o'clock on ESPNU. But of course the big one at 8 Eastern, Oregon and Stanford in Palo Alto. Game day was there this morning, and Andrew Luck will have a chance on national TV tonight to maybe make a case that Stanford should have a chance to play for a national championship.
And you mentioned Western Kentucky. In all seriousness, they are much, much improved this year. Former Stanford assistant coach doing an excellent job there.
Dagey has to throw that one away. So it will be third down and a mile coming up for Texas Tech.
I thought you brought up I hadn't really thought about it, but the Heisman Trophy potential for Brandon Wheat.
Well, for 6 weeks.
It really can play out.
For 6 weeks, everybody's been saying that Andrew Luck is the guy, and that's it. Now, take a look at Brandon Whedon's numbers. I mean, look at where his team is at, higher ranked in the polls than Andrew Luck's team. I think you can make an argument a more difficult conference than Andrew Luck's conference. Now, Andrew Luck is playing his toughest game probably in their conference tonight. And in 2 weeks, Oklahoma State will have their toughest in-conference game to play. You have to win that game, you'd think, to win the Heisman. But shouldn't Whedon at least be in the conversation?
I think what happens, it's like me going in there with you last week to watch him on tape. You picture him as a quarterback of the system. You know, you picture all bubble screens and the little flare stuff. You have to watch him in person, I think, to really appreciate Brandon Wheat. You know, Andrew Luck, everybody pictures as the perfect NFL-type quarterback. And you have this perception of Wheaton that all he does is throw screens. But the more you watch him and you see his release and how accurate he is, you appreciate him that much more. That's why I think the NFL scouts, when all the dust settles, this will be a top pick. And I think that's a very fair point you make about the Heisman Trophy.
Fourth
who
down
else?
And a mile for Texas Tech. 4th and 21. Dagey comes underneath, and DeAndre Washington, no chance to pick up the first down. So for the 3rd time today, Texas Tech turns it over on downs.
Yeah, and Oklahoma State, Bob, still pitching a shutout right now defensively. The only score for Texas Tech off the interception.
I just think when you compare Whedon and Andrew Luck, if you go into it just with a clean slate, these two players, and obviously there are more players in the Heisman race. It's not a two-man race between Andrew Luck and Brandon Whedon, but if Luck is the standard by which all of the other Heisman contenders are being compared, and you had no preconceived notions.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, because we all do have preconceived notions, particularly the guys that don't watch Oklahoma State play every week. But they will have the chance to watch him play, particularly against Oklahoma in that game.
And Whedon's still in the game. Hands to Jeremy Smith for a couple of yards. And now we've got an injured Texas Tech Red Raider. Cody Davis, the leading tackler for Texas Tech, is down. So while the training staff takes a look at Cody Davis, let's take a look at today's Good Hands play brought to you by Allstate. How many times have we seen this year?
Yeah, I think this set the tone for the game. This was his first touchdown catch. They cut the split down. They let him fade away from the defender. No question this guy, great hands. It's, can he become totally consistent? Because he does have a little bit of the drop one a game, but what's that, 13 catches, that's 29 catches in the last 3 games.
And in defense of Andrew Luck, to kind of play both sides of the argument, folks that think Andrew Luck should be kind of the runaway Heisman candidate, look at the skill position players that Luck is surrounded with,
right.
And they say, well, where's his Justin Blackmon?
That's right.
He's throwing to his tight ends, basically. He's not throwing to a guy like this.
Yeah, I mean, what you try to do is picture Andrew Luck on the field for Oklahoma State and imagine what his statistics would be. But I'll say this. Right now, the way Whedon's playing and as accurate as he's throwing it, just based on what you see, you'd have to say Whedon's ahead of Luck.
Well, I would say probably about 90% of the Heisman voters would look at it the other way. But again, I guess the way I would look at it is if I had no preconceived notions, if I hadn't been told by anyone that had a microphone in front of him and analyzed the Heisman race over the past 2 months that Andrew Luck was by far the guy, no doubt about it, and I just looked at the bodies of work this year, there's at least a debate to be had between Andrew Luck and Brandon Whedon.
There's no doubt about that.
There's the bubble screen, caught by Colton Shelf, and he's down the sideline. Takes a hard hit out of bounds. Very close to an Oklahoma State first down, and it is good for a fresh set of downs for the Cowboys.
I don't know what Clint Shelf, his brother, did to get Mike Gundy and Todd Monken mad at him. But I'd like to see the backup quarterback here. It's time to take that hat off, blow some warm air on those hands, and let's go.
Play action for Whedon. Going up top, wide open in stride, it's Josh Stewart. Another touchdown pass for Brandon Whedon. And that's the second of the day for Stewart.
Golly. I mean, it doesn't matter what the score is, what the defense is. That was a very accurate thrown football for a touchdown. Now, I'm going out on a limb. Clint Shelf will be on the field in the next series, regardless of what Texas Tech does with the ball.
Remember, we were having this conversation earlier, and I threw at you, would you at least maybe leave Whedon in to think about the Heisman Trophy? To me, that's even been accomplished now.
Well,
he's done enough.
You cleared your bag out on Brandon Whedon Heisman Trophy stuff, so I think it's done. I guess Gundy listened to you. Yeah, let's take a look at all 22. You're going to see the wide receiver. We let this thing roll. He's going to come wide open on the post route. Right here, you can see at the top, the inside position, very poorly played. Not a difficult throw, but Brandon Whedon made it look very easy.
And Oklahoma State has made it look easy today.
He's having fun.
Live on your computer, tablet, or smartphone via WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app.
So if you're an Oklahoma State fan there in the front row and you're texting Brandon Whedon's numbers, they change every series. You got cramps in your thumbs, and it's been that kind of day for the Red Raider faithful. 63-6, under 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. I mean, we talked about this in the first half, as maybe it is now Clint Shelf time as he is warming up, but as bad as the Texas Tech defense has been today, as good and as in sync as Brandon Weeden, Justin Blackman, Josh Cooper, and the rest of that group for Oklahoma State are, they could basically name their number. And really, if they wanted to play this game out, they could score 100 points today. That's how good they've been. Line drive takes a hop down to Ben McCroy. And he is down at about the 23-yard line. Herschel Sims makes the stop for Oklahoma State as we take a look at how the focus points for Coach Davie have worked out today.
And the biggest focus point, the first one. They're the best offense in the country right now. I don't have any doubt in that. Defense, 2 of those were in the kicking game situation. A drop punt. Texas Tech fumbled a kickoff return. Red zone defense, they're pitching a shutout. I really credit Mike Gundy and his staff keeping this Oklahoma State team focused to come out here and play this well in Lubbock.
Aaron Crawford up the middle for about 5. And you're right, no one in Norman wants to hear this, that we would in any way even remotely dismiss the Bedlam game. But if we got the matchup of LSU and their defense and an NFL level secondary against Brandon Weeden, Justin Blackman, and this offense, that might be the most intriguing matchup that we could get for the national championship.
Yeah, it all changes because LSU, you mentioned it, NFL secondary, they're going to line up and play man-to-man coverage. So all of a sudden, all those little short swings, curls are taken away because it's bump and run man-to-man coverage. They have the kind of guys to do that. And LSU's offense, if they play today, is going to line up and run it. They are going to come right at Oklahoma State. But I'd love to see that game. I think that's a classic game of different styles. But there's a lot of ball left to be played before we get to that point.
3rd down and 3 for Texas Tech. Daigie over the middle, has a first down reception out to the 40-yard line to Darren Moore.
Darren Moore's a guy, I think, he's a talented wide receiver. Big, tall, been injured a little bit. He's back coming off an ankle injury. Had 6 catches last week against Texas. I mean, he looks like the receivers Tommy Tuberville can build this thing around a little bit.
Washington for about 4. Brought down by Ryan Robinson. Now here's the question for Oklahoma State. And this really just plays into the Bedlam game because they can play it straight up. They're going to beat Iowa State next week. I'm sure we can maybe take that one for granted.
I wouldn't take it totally for granted.
All right, but let's just say for the sake of argument, they go into the Bedlam game undefeated. Right. Can they play that game and a national championship game, as Texas Tech has it 2nd down and 6. A little flip through the hands of Marquez, incomplete. And can they continue to count on the fact that they will be able to feast on turnovers? Every week we've had them, we've talked about it, we've brought that up, and every week it seems like they're +2 or +3 in the takeaway ratio.
That's the million-dollar question. Because a lot of those turnovers, how turnovers always are by good fortune. You know, Texas Tech gave them some turnovers, as did Baylor, as did right on down the line. So, I mean, that's the million-dollar question. But, you know, their defense today has really played pretty darn good. I see them getting better on defense. I mean, I think they have some talented players. I know they have a great coach in Bill Young and a good staff. I don't think they're that bad on defense.
Incomplete pass for Eric Ward, so it will be 4th down again for Texas Tech.
Yeah, and another big point. If they beat Oklahoma, there's no Big 12 championship. And one more point, Quinn Sharp, their kicker.
Yep.
Now he's tired because he kicks off so much, and he doesn't have to punt much.
That's
they have a great kicker.
Big special teams advantage that they have over anybody that they play. You're right. Colton Chelf is back deep to receive the punt from Erxleben. And he gets away a wobbly line drive that will bounce and take a sideways hop out of bounds inside the 20-yard line.
Is it time? Is it Clint Shelf time?
Let's see.
There's all backups in there.
There's your guy. Right there in the middle of the offensive huddle. Here comes Clint Chelp, the sophomore. The older brother of Colton Chelp, so we do have the possibility of Chelp to Chelp, as he has thrown 18 for 26 so far this season with 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He actually has a better touchdown to interception ratio than Brandon Weeden. And he'll hand one to Herschel Sims, who picks up about 7 on first down.
What happens in these shotgun offenses, you know, the quarterback, the snap is so important, so critical in the timing. You start putting these backup linemen in the game, the execution drops so quickly, just starting with the shotgun snap. And these guys have a whole 4th quarter of football to play. The second Oklahoma State offense. It's a great opportunity for them.
Sims again for a yard. And it'll be 3rd down at about 2 as Dartwan Bush made the stop for Texas Tech.
Could you draw it up any better if you're an Oklahoma State fan? You're sitting here with a quarter of football left in Lubbock. 63-6. You have Iowa State on Friday night, then an open date in Oklahoma to play for the national championship. I mean, that's pretty good. That's why you got to take advantage of it. Because to get to this point, we know how difficult it is to get these kind of opportunities.
They'll run it with Sims on 3rd down, and he is right at the first down marker.
I think he made it.
And that looks to be good for a first down. It will take us to the end of the 3rd quarter. So the number 2 team in the country, looking very much like a team that belongs at the top of the polls. Early in the 3rd quarter, Texas Tech got on the board with a fumble recovery for a touchdown, but then Justin Blackman and Josh Stewart both connect with Brandon Weeden to extend the lead.
Welcome back to Lubbock, Texas. College football lives here. Get your
That just about says it all right there. 63-6, and that is
Look at the 2 girls behind
the
you.
only happy guy in Lubbock.
Look at the 2 girls.
As we start the 4th quarter, and the start of the 4th quarter, Coach Davey goes with Herschel Sims picking up a first down. Basically the way that most of the game has gone, and that's Oklahoma State making plays, naming their number offensively, and the mistakes early in the game, though, had this game completely out of hand, really from Jump Street for Texas Tech.
I mean, just 2 teams going in totally opposite directions right now. I mean, Oklahoma State with all the momentum, good things happen to them all afternoon. Texas Tech just trying somehow to dig out of the hole since they beat Oklahoma. I mean, this has not been even close to the same football team. Losing to Iowa State at home, getting pounded by Texas, getting pounded today. So just, you know, 2 different stories completely.
There goes the true freshman again. Herschel Sims with another first down for Oklahoma State to the 43-yard line of Texas Tech.
Another one of those Texas recruits playing for Oklahoma State. Be interesting, you know, A&M going to the Southeastern Conference. A&M, Oklahoma State always head-to-head on a lot of recruits, as is Texas and Oklahoma. Be interesting to see, you know, no more A&M Tech rivalry, no more A&M Texas rivalry, how that's going to affect recruiting for A&M and the rest of the league to a degree.
Running room again for Herschel Sims. He picks up about 5. And you know, you mentioned it when you were the defensive coordinator in your days at A&M, how brutal the rivalry was. It has always been between Tech and A&M. And that's going to be one of those rivalries that maybe to the rest of the country just kind of goes by the wayside. But if you live in Lubbock, if you live in College Station, if you are attached to either of those 2 schools, that's going to be a rivalry that you're going to miss.
Darn right. That's a shame. I mean, the thought of A&M not playing Tech and not playing Texas. You know, Oklahoma State were newcomers for A&M. You know, A&M not in the Big 12 all that long. But the old Southwest Conference rivalries are dead.
Jackson Richards on the stop of Herschel Sims. It'll be 3rd down and about 3 as we take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. It's been all Oklahoma, and it has a lot to do with the production of these 3 wide receivers today in combination with Brandon Weeden.
Yeah, it's not just Weed and Blackman. I think that's the thing that impresses you with Oklahoma State. And each week, these younger players, you know, the Randalls, whether it's Tracy Moore, Isaiah Anderson, you know, Michael Harrison didn't even play today. Their talented wide receiver out with an ankle injury.
Shelf is going to put it up on 3rd down. Tipped ball, and it finds its way through traffic to the 20-yard line. And a 1st down inside the 20 to Charlie Moore, down to about the 16.
Momentum. You could ever figure out how to change it if you're Texas Tech. I mean, good things happen to Oklahoma State. I mean, the ball batted up in the air. Daniel Cobb, the linebacker. Seems strange to see Oklahoma State huddle. They're now huddling, lining up in 2-back, more traditional sets.
High snap. Chelf nowhere to go. Tried to give it to Herschel Sims and had to turn turtle and take about an 8-yard loss as we check in with Robert.
All right, Bob, we're going to kind of go off script here for our AT&T All-America Player of the Week. Right now, it's Brandon Weeden. 5 touchdowns, 423 yards. We usually pick players that are outside the game that you're calling, but he's been far and away the best thus far. You can text vote to 55862. By the way, Oklahoma State taking on Iowa State Friday on ESPN.
Well, Robert, we appreciate the help. And I think about 430 yards and 5 touchdowns would be a tough performance to duplicate. Draw play to Sims. Barely gets to the 20-yard line before he's met by Dartwan Bush. It will be 3rd down and 14 from the 20.
Come into the game this late in the season averaging 50 points a game.
How about 564 yards of total offense, and you're barely past your average?
Yeah, and they have not run that many plays. I don't know what the total plays is, but they're not up in the 80s or 90s. They've had a lot of big, explosive plays. Yeah, 71 plays right now on the day.
3rd and 14 for the Cowboys. And that ball batted down at the line. Kerry Hyder knocked it down, so it will be 4th down. And in this win, this might be a good opportunity for Mike Gundy to send Quinn Sharp out there and try one on a breezy day.
One of the few guys in the country, punt, kickoff, field goals.
Yeah, this might be your Groza Award winner right here. You're leading the country in touchbacks. You are leading the country in punt average, and you're 15 of 17 on field goal opportunities. This one from 37 yards out. Right down the pipe. An NFL kicker capping another drive for the best offense in America. 60-point lead. It's been all Cowboys. 66-6 with just over 10 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. Here in Lubbock, Bob Wischusen alongside Bob Davey. Shelley Smith with us here as well. And Coach, this is a result that, I mean, really is just ridiculous based on the fact that this is a Red Raider team that, I mean, they got pushed around last week by Texas, but in their own building, a team that beat Oklahoma a few weeks ago, to have it just come apart at the seams as Sharp sends it out of the back of the end zone again. We did not see this coming. And with just 2 races remaining to crown a champion, only 3 points separate Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart. And the fight for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup continues with the Cobalt Tools 500 at Phoenix. Coverage begins tomorrow on ESPN at 2 Eastern. Can't shine a flashlight between Edwards and Stewart at the top of the standings. Back to the the offense for Texas Tech. And an inaccurate bubble screen pass thrown by Dagey intended for Torres. Second down and 10 for Tech at their own 20-yard line. They'll try it again. And this time it loses a couple of yards. Darren Moore caught the screen from Dagey. Nowhere to go. Roderick Brown held the edge. And stop made by Lindell Johnson.
Texas Tech at Missouri, Baylor, and Dallas sitting there with one more win to get bowl eligible. I mean, they're in a tough position. Both those games, they're going to be, I think, pretty significant underdogs going in based on how they've played the last 3 weeks.
Dagey over the middle. Kenny Williams with a flag down. Barely got back to the original line of scrimmage, so it will be 4th down and 10 if the play stands, but there is a flag thrown in the offensive backfield.
Personal foul, face mask, number 68 offense. That penalty's declined, 4th down.
So here comes the punting unit for Texas Tech as we take a look at what Dagey has accomplished today, and it is well below any numbers that he's put up so far this season.
From the beginning, you know, the first series of the game, accuracy problems.
Yep.
And it's continued all day.
Erxleben to punt. Colton Shelf deep to receive. Wobbly kick, returnable for Shelf, but he'll call for the fair catch at his own 42-yard line. We'll step aside for just a moment. 9:20 to go in the 4th quarter of a cruise control win for the Cowboys.
ESPN's College Football on ABC. Brought to you by K Jewelers, the #1 jewelry store in America. Every kiss begins with K. And Nissan, proud partner of the Heisman Trophy.
February 3rd, 1959, the day the music died. Buddy Holly, born in Lubbock, and a very brief, all too brief music career, encompassed 25 hit records before dying in a plane crash at age 22 with the Big Bopper and Richie Valens. And there goes Herschel Sims in the open. Inside the 10. Does he stay in bounds? The officials conferring. And it looks like they may mark him out at about the 2. First and goal for Oklahoma State after a 56-yard run by Herschel Sims.
Yeah, just a simple outside zone play out of a 2-back set. He makes a little cut right here. What can you say? Just not much defense.
First and goal for Oklahoma State. You have to let Sims finish it off, right? He's got 2 touchdowns so far on the season. Flag thrown as he picks up about a half yard.
Herschel Sims, the ball carrier, flag on the play.
Personal foul, chop block, number 64 offense, 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
That's Casey LeBrew, the backup center. Senior from Enid, Oklahoma, called for the personal foul. Here at Jones AT&T Stadium in Lubbock, I'm Bob Wischusen alongside Bob Davey. Shelly Smith with us here as well, midway through the 4th quarter of a game that has been about as lopsided as you can remember. A lot of self-inflicted wounds by Texas Tech early on allowed Oklahoma State to go out to the big lead, and they have been in control from the start. Herschel Sims spun down after A carry of about a yard. Kerry Hyder made the stop. He actually might have lost about a half yard. It'll be 2nd down and goal for Oklahoma State at the 19-yard line.
Yeah, that chop block penalty. 1st and goal. See how big that penalty was.
Play action. Clint Shelf on a rollout. Wide open in the flat. David Paulson. He's down to about the 9-yard line. Only his 3rd reception of the season. It'll be 3rd down and goal from inside the 9.
The linebacker Hubert in a tough situation out there, whether to contain the quarterback Shelf on the run, which he did, and then the fullback came wide open in behind him.
Goal from just outside the 8. They'll try it with Sims. And he gets down to about the 6-yard line. Let's see if Mike Gundy sends his field goal unit out one more time with 6:40 remaining in the 4th quarter. Might leave the field goal unit over on the sideline and simply go for it on 4th down. Maybe just run it. Clint Shelf has 3 touchdown passes on the season. On 4th and goal from inside the 7. He'll go empty and he'll try and throw for a 4th. Slants one towards the end zone and it's broken up. Nice job by Cornelius Douglas to knock it down at the goal line. So Texas Tech will take over on downs. We'll step aside with just over 6 minutes to go in the 4th quarter here in Lubbock.
That's a great one.
Mascot fun here in Lubbock. Papa Shoes and Bob Davies, Shelley Smith. And it's good at least to see the mascots getting along as Kenny Williams brings one out to about the 10-yard line as we play out the last 6 minutes or so. And let's check in with Robert Flores.
Bob, I think the Red Raiders have run out of bullets a long time ago. But Penn State, they're coming back. Stephon Green. And after spotting Nebraska 17 unanswered points, Penn State within 3 in the 4th quarter on ESPN. And Clemson has tied Wake Forest on ESPNU.
Can you imagine the emotion inside that building today? Jacob Karam takes over a quarterback for Texas Tech for the last 5.5 minutes with what has happened at Penn State this week, and now they have a chance to come back against Nebraska. Here's Kenny Williams. Now to about the 9-yard line. And the rest of the college football day in prime time begins at 6 Eastern. Tennessee will take on Arkansas on ESPN2. And then later on tonight, game day was in Palo Alto for Oregon and Stanford. Number 7 against number 4 at 8 Eastern on ABC.
Who do you like, Oregon, Stanford?
I think Oregon's going to win the game.
Just too much speed, too much explosiveness on offense.
If the game gets into any type of open field situation, I don't know that Stanford can shut down that offense. Third down and 8. Karam under pressure in the end zone. Slings one, and it's dropped by Kenny Williams. And now it's 4th down. But Coach, in summation, I know you were on a lot of different talk shows to give your opinion on what took place this week at Penn State, how the program was dealt with after just the unthinkable Jerry Sandusky story broke. And now they're on the verge of maybe pulling off a come-from-behind win against Nebraska.
Yeah, and so many issues to talk about about it, but I think the right decision was made for Joe Paterno not to be there, not to finish the season, not to coach in this game, because you mentioned the atmosphere in that stadium. You know, now's not the time to celebrate the great career, the great legacy of Joe Paterno. That puts too many people in an awkward situation. There'll be plenty of time for that down the road.
At Punt rolls dead at about the 34-yard line of Oklahoma State. We'll step aside for just a moment. This Veterans Day weekend celebrated today here in Lubbock, Texas as well. Wounded Warriors honored before the game. And then Oklahoma State doing a number on Texas Tech down to the last 4:22 in the fourth quarter. But again, our thanks to our servicemen and women around the world keeping us safe. Up the middle goes Herschel Sims out to about the 39-yard line for a gain of nearly 5.
Tackle made by number 54, Darquan Bush.
Pretty conservative uniforms today from Oklahoma State. Texas Tech breaking out some new ones for the game. But Oklahoma State can get a little wild with their combinations. Check these shoes out, you.
The camouflage uniforms are auctioned off as well by Texas Tech to help raise money for Wounded Warriors. 2nd down and 5 for the Cowboys. Keep it on the ground. Delvon Simmons made the stop on Sims. It will be 3rd down and nearly 5.
No gain. Brings up 3rd down and 5, the ball on the 39-yard line.
Add West Virginia now to this mix eventually in the Big 12. Dana Holgerson, the head coach at West Virginia, was at both of these schools, Texas Tech and Oklahoma State, so it'll be another spread bubble screen team coming to the Big 12.
Naked bootleg for Chelf on 3rd down and 5, and he gets stopped at the 40-yard line. A reminder, the American Music Awards are live Sunday, November 20th at 8/7 Central on ABC. It's the one place to see all your favorite artists. Performances by Katy Perry, Jennifer Lopez, Lil Wayne, Taylor Swift, and Pitbull.
Now, let
It's
me ask you a
music's
question.
biggest night live. I've been told, by the way, that Pitbull, very good chance he will dedicate that performance to Bob Davis.
If you could go to one of those acts you just named in person, who would you go to? I picture you at Katy Perry front row.
With a pink boa around my neck, something along those lines, right? As Chelf, or rather Sharp, is able to angle one out of bounds. The Big 12, as things sit now, well, Oklahoma State, we're going to go out on a limb, and we are going to give them the win, make them 7-0 in the conference, 10-0 overall.
Missouri beat Texas today. That surprises me. A Texas team I thought was really coming on. They're still a young football team. You look at Oklahoma State at Iowa State. That's not a gimmick. Friday night in Ames, Iowa. Iowa State can run the ball. They're a good offensive football team.
We came into today saying this one might not be a gimme for
And we
Oklahoma
said that
State.
against Baylor as well.
How have they looked as we check in again with Robert?
All right, Bob, check out what happened in West Lafayette. Ohio State point after for the lead with under a minute to go, but Drew Brazel's kick is blocked by Bruce Gaston. And they're about to go into overtime. Ohio State and Purdue tied at 20. Penn State has the ball, and they're driving under 2 minutes to go, down 3 to Nebraska on ESPN.
All right, Robert, thanks very much.
You're right. What a setting. Different setting in Happy Valley as that game comes to a close.
Williams drags a tackler close to a 1st down with 1:19 remaining. How do you keep Oklahoma State grounded if you're Mike Gundy? And how do you keep them from getting overconfident? Would that even be a concern?
I think he's done a great job of that. You know, they got a saying, no regrets. And they talk about that on Saturday, of leaving it all on the field, so Saturday night you don't look back. They talk about that Thursday night, just in their preparation, Sunday through Thursday. You know, when you have a 28-year-old quarterback, your best players are playing their best football. I don't really think that's going to be an issue. I mean, that's what's been so impressive about this win here today, is just how they executed.
very well might be the final play of the game. It'll be second down at the 25-yard line of Texas Tech. Shelley Smith is going to have a chance to catch up with Mike Gundy as soon as the final seconds tick off. And we'll hear a little bit from Mike Gundy about maybe keeping his team with the blinders on. Out to about the 30-yard line goes Williams, and that will take us to the final moments. Number 2 has done nothing today to suggest that they belong anywhere else in the polls, but right where they are, positioned to potentially play for a national championship. A 60-point win on the road at Texas Tech. Hard to believe it could have been this lopsided, but Oklahoma State took control from the start, capitalizing on plenty of Texas Tech errors, and Mike Gundy gets a win on the road, and he is with Shelley.
Hang on 1 second. What did your team show you today?
Well, I was proud of them for continuing to play at a high level and to travel on the road. And you know, we had some conditions today. The wind was blowing quite a bit, and they just kind of put all those things out of their mind and really played well. So I'm just proud of their effort and the way they started the game and then finished.
How do you keep them grounded in this lofty perch?
Well, I think we've just continued to be honest with them and just tell them, hey, look, here's where you're at, and you have an opportunity to win if you prepare well Sunday through Thursday, and then you got to play with great effort as a team on Saturday. And so far they've done that, and so I'm just thrilled with them. They're good kids, and they like to play the game, and couldn't be prouder.
You got a Friday night ESPN game in Ames, Iowa, which can be wild. When do you start thinking about them?
Well, tomorrow morning, you know, we got to go to work, and again, got to get prepared to play on the road. Our team understands that, and I'm confident they'll prepare and play well.
Great, thanks so much.
All right, Shelley, thanks very much. Again, our final 66-6, Oklahoma State over Texas Tech. For Shelley Smith and Bob Davie, I'm Bob Wischusen. So long from Lubbock. Let's go back to our studio. Standing by with Jesse Palmer is Scott Van Pelt. Scott?
Bob, thanks so much.